It seems like Blake Lively is in serious trouble. Megyn Kelly has been relentlessly uncovering every single lie Blake ever spun, and the evidence she's presenting is completely obliterating Blake's case.
I will happily participate in releasing any further leaks that they have because the truth should be out there. What does she have to fear if she's telling the truth?
But you can rest assured that based on the investigation we've done, the text messages we have, the receipts that'll go along with that complaint, she's dead in the water.
Megyn Kelly isn't holding back. She's bringing in her own lawyer to drop undeniable receipts that prove Blake has been twisting the truth from the very beginning. But the real shocker, Blake's motives might be far more calculated and self-serving than anyone ever imagined.
And it's just disgusting when you go after someone, you try to destroy their life. And actually the evidence shows something different. Blake Lively was no victim here. She was in control. She was in power, and she took over this film.
From using her bestie Taylor Swift and husband Ryan Reynolds to pressure Justin Baldoni to allegedly threatening producers with a full-blown boycott if her outrageous demands weren't met, Blake's tactics are starting to look less like a creative dispute and more like a calculated power play.
And she was such a brat that she wanted to control every scene, wanted to see all the dailies, wanted to do her own cut and did her own cut of the movie. All this is very unusual for just an actress in the film, even if she's the lead, and that she's now tried to turn this whole thing into a PR victory for her to get past what appears to be the fact that she is an egotistical bully.
This situation goes far beyond a simple sexual harassment lawsuit. What we're seeing now suggests that Blake Lively had a calculated plan from the very beginning. By now, we all know Blake accused Justin Baldoni of sexual harassment and orchestrating a smear campaign against her. In response, Justin fired back with his own lawsuit, claiming Blake was actually the one launching a smear campaign against him. But here's the thing. This goes way deeper than most people realize. Before we dive into the newly leaked evidence, we need to rewind and look at where this all really started. Because as it turns out, this Hollywood meltdown didn't explode overnight. It had been brewing long before it became a full-blown public feud. In fact, it traces all the way back to when Blake's reputation first started crumbling. And no, it had absolutely nothing to do with Justin Baldoni, despite what she claims. Blake wasn't the victim of some grand Hollywood conspiracy. She was the architect of her own downfall. Let me explain. During the press tour for It Ends With Us, fans started noticing something off about Blake. The way she handled interviews, her attitude, her entire public persona. It wasn't landing well. Naturally, the internet did what it does best, dug up old interviews to figure out whether this was just a recent shift or a long-running pattern. And let's just say what they found was not pretty.
As often happens when these stars drop a movie, people start digging around for other interviews of them, etc. And it was just sort of a course of, wow, like, she seems like kind of a jerk. Wow, she's like kind of a bully. She's rather mean.
So in a desperate attempt to salvage her crumbling public image, Blake hopped on her defensive horse and did what Hollywood does best, shift the blame. Instead of taking accountability, she pointed the finger straight at Justin Baldoni and his PR team, accusing them of orchestrating a smear campaign against her. And because no celebrity meltdown is complete without a carefully curated media strategy, Blake took things a step further. She ran straight to the New York Times in what can only be described as a "please love me again" PR stunt. Blake used the NYT piece to flip the narrative, turning Justin into the villain and herself into the helpless victim of Hollywood's cruelty. Only problem, there's now concrete proof that the New York Times deliberately manipulated text messages, cut out crucial details, and twisted the story to make Justin look as guilty as possible. In other words, this wasn't just biased reporting, it was a full-blown hit piece. And now the receipts are out, and they do not look good for Blake.
They're literally removing text in between text and emojis to sort of make it sound worse.
But hold up. Doesn't this all sound just a little too familiar? If you're getting deja vu right now, you're not alone.
She has made herself into the new Amber Heard, and he is the new Johnny Depp.
Remember how Amber Heard pulled the exact same move on Johnny Depp back in 2018? She ran to the Sun newspaper with a hit piece, casting him as the villain while painting herself as the victim. Well, history is repeating itself. Amber has now come out of hiding to show her support for Blake. But here's the problem. Blake just made a huge mistake by copying Amber's strategy. We all remember how miserably it ended for Amber. Exposed in court, her lies unraveled, and her career left in shambles. If Blake thinks she's going to rewrite history with the same playbook, she might want to take a closer look at how that worked out for Amber.
And now he's going full Johnny Depp on her to show that she was the bully, she was the one harassing him, and this guy who had, comparatively very little power was forced now to come out and tell the truth about Blake Lively.
Like Amber, Blake's biggest mistake was assuming her fans are stupid, that we would just blindly believe whatever narrative she pushes. She claims Justin and his PR team are the ones making her look bad in interviews. But let's be real, no PR spin is needed when the footage speaks for itself. We all have eyes. We can see how she treats people. We can see how rude and dismissive she is to interviewers. And if you think that's an exaggeration, just look at this. When an interviewer kindly congratulated her on her pregnancy, Blake shot back with a mocking, "Congrats on your little bump," to a woman who wasn't pregnant. Worse, that interviewer had struggled with infertility in the past, making Blake's comment not just rude, but incredibly insensitive. Clip 9. Blake visibly got annoyed when asked about the costumes in the film. Funny enough, in another interview, she had absolutely no problem talking about the wardrobe.
What an incredible summer you're having. I feel like you poured a lot into this movie, but then you turned around and you were just as supportive of Ryan. What is it like to...
And my hair care company, Blake Brown, my goodness gracious. It's been crazy. It's been a crazy week. I haven't slept in like a lot of time.
Most importantly, we can see how out of touch she is with the film's theme and how little consideration she seems to have for real victims, as you'll see in this next clip.
For people who see this movie, who relate to the topics of this movie on a deeply personal level, they're really going to want to talk to you. This movie is going to affect people and they're going to want to tell you about their life. So if someone understands the themes of this movie, comes across you in public, and they want to really talk to you, what's the best way for them to be able to talk to you about this? How would you recommend they go about it?
Like asking for like my address or my phone number or like my location share. Or I could just location share you and then we could...
No surprise, her fans have turned against her. And just like Johnny Depp's legal team obliterated Amber Heard, Justin Baldoni's lawyer is preparing to take Blake Lively down straight into oblivion.
Are you going to sue Blake Lively too?
Into oblivion, Megyn. Wait till you see this lawsuit.
Oh boy.
But as we mentioned earlier, this wasn't just a desperate attempt by Blake to salvage her reputation. From the very start, it may have been her calculated plan to take Justin Baldoni's movie away from him. And the proof? Countless text messages between Justin, Blake, the producers, and the editors that make her intentions crystal clear.
Is that she used these allegations of sexual harassment and she used these allegations of bullying to try and leverage her position so she could be the de facto director in the case.
Justin Baldoni, who by the way wasn't just the lead actor but also the writer and director of the film, was reportedly shocked to discover that Blake had secretly created her own director's cut of the movie, which was kept completely under wraps from everyone.
An executive producer to have a competing cut of a film is incredibly bizarre. But when she starts threatening people and saying, I'm not going to promote the film, I'm not going to do anything unless you use my cut, that's when it starts to be awfully incendiary.
And the worst part, Justin was completely blindsided when he found out that Blake's husband, Ryan Reynolds, had secretly contributed to writing some of the scenes. Not only was this totally inappropriate, but it was also done without Justin's knowledge or approval.
So the iconic rooftop scene in this movie, my husband actually wrote it. Nobody knows that, but you know.
And let's not forget Justin was literally forced into the basement with his friends and family during the premiere of his own film.
Think about this. On what, could have been one of the most beautiful nights of my life career-wise, I literally was sent to the basement with all my friends and family for over an hour because I wasn't allowed to be seen. She didn't want me anywhere near her or the rest of the cast. So they ushered me off the carpet and they sent us down to the basement.
And in August 5th of 2024, Justin invites the editors to the premiere, but they can't be in the same room with Blake. Justin replies, "We won't be in the same room. I was asked not to even come to the premiere." And the editors say, "It would be very hard for me to sit and watch the final film for the first time at the premiere." And Justin replies, "Okay, yeah, I haven't seen it either."
This is just further proof that Blake wanted to take over the film and keep the spotlight entirely on herself. But now the tables are slowly turning, and things are looking real bleak for Blake because Justin's lawyer is gearing up to unleash a mountain of evidence against her.
But we'll see what the documents actually say, because that's what we have are documents. Documents actually don't lie. People do. And it's important that everyone sees all of the documents that are involved in the case, because there are people that have been destroyed as a result of the allegations that have been made so far in this case.
So without further ado, let's break down just some of the lies we now know Blake has been telling. Blake accused Justin of invading her personal space, claiming he showed up uninvited while she was undressed and breastfeeding her baby. But newly leaked text messages completely undermine her story, because as we can clearly see from Blake's own messages, she was the one who invited Justin into her trailer while she was pumping milk for her baby. And here's the proof. Blake's own message in black and white. Even more telling is Justin's response. He clearly wasn't in a rush to come over while she may have been in a vulnerable state. This just proves one thing. Blake herself set the boundaries and dictated what she was comfortable with.
Which is just an example of how she loves to play the victim. And then the one about, he burst in on me uninvited when I was breastfeeding my child. She says we should run lines together. He's like, anytime. And she's like, come on over. I'm breastfeeding the baby in the trailer, but come on over. So it's written there, black and white. She invited him in, and a lot of women are comfortable having someone around when they breastfeed, so it's not so weird, especially out in Hollywood.
Blake accused Jamie Heath, lead producer and Justin Baldoni's close friend, of showing her highly inappropriate and pornographic material. She framed the incident as a horrific case of harassment, painting herself as the victim. But here's what her lawsuit conveniently left out, some pretty crucial context. The so-called inappropriate image, it wasn't explicit material, it was a still shot from a birthing scene. And why was it shown? Because the film script included a childbirth sequence, and the producer used an image from his own wife's delivery to provide a reference.
Because so often we see births in movies and TV, and they just look so fake. It's like a 3-month-old baby that comes out of, and I just wanted it to feel very real.
And as we've since learned, the image was actually artistic and tastefully presented, meant to capture the beauty of childbirth, nothing remotely pornographic or harassing about it.
Justin's business partner, who is a producer of the film, and he showed her a still shot from his wife's delivery of their child, which I've also seen. You can't see any R-rated parts at all. It's actually a really lovely artistic photo of a husband with his arms around his wife in a bathtub and the baby on top of the wife.
Another wild accusation Blake threw at Justin was that he made inappropriate comments about her weight and body, essentially fat-shaming her. Things escalated so much that Ryan Reynolds allegedly summoned Justin to his penthouse, where he reportedly stared him down and scolded him like a child. But Blake didn't stop at dragging her husband into the mess. She also allegedly used Taylor Swift to intimidate and manipulate Justin. In more leaked messages, Blake even went full Game of Thrones mode, threatening Justin by calling herself the Great Khaleesi and claiming that Ryan and Taylor are her dragons. And if that sounds painfully cringeworthy, just wait until you hear Megyn Kelly break it down.
Ryan Reynolds comes off terribly. He had them over to their penthouse in New York, and Taylor Swift was believed to be there, according to this latest complaint, who's Blake Lively's BFF. And what they allege is that they blacked out a lot of names, but we think it's Taylor, that the three of them sat there and they berated Justin for things that were going on the set that they didn't like. They took control of the script. Blake personally, with Ryan's help, rewrote scenes. Again, not within the purview of an actress. And then after that, they have text messages in which Blake tells Justin, this is in the latest lawsuit, I know you've never watched Game of Thrones, but when you get around to watching it, you'll realize I'm Khaleesi and these are my dragons. And I have the best dragons in the business, right? Ryan Reynolds and Taylor Swift. And what they're alleging is that, let's face it, none of us has ever heard of Justin Baldoni before this whole thing. I mean, who the hell is he? I guess he's in some small thing I never saw. But she's saying, F with me and we'll crush you. My dragons and I, the biggest movie star, one of them in the planet, the biggest pop star in the planet, and I will hurt you.
But y'all, maybe Blake never actually watched Game of Thrones till the end, because if I remember correctly, things didn't exactly end well for Khaleesi now, did they? But okay, moving on. So yeah, Justin did ask his personal trainer how much Blake weighed. Blake found out about it and once again blew it completely out of proportion. And by now we've all seen the pattern. She loves taking things wildly out of context. The actual reason Justin asked, because he has severe back issues and there was a scripted scene where he had to lift Blake up. It was crucial for him to know her weight. Not for any fat-shaming nonsense, but to make sure he didn't injure himself or, more importantly, Blake. There was no body shaming, no inappropriate comments, just a practical concern for safety.
The alleged fat shaming that Ryan Reynolds went off on him over, that's all over her lawsuit that he's been excoriated for in the press, the left-wing press, was when he went to it was either his trainer or her trainer or the trainer on the set. And he asked how much Blake weighs. And that it was like, how dare he, right? How dare. Turns out Justin Baldoni, this has been documented, has serious disc issues and was actually in the hospital for like 2 months after this film wrapped because of his disc issues and was worried because he had to pick her up in a scene.
And if that wasn't enough to debunk Blake's absurd accusations, more leaked messages completely destroy her claims. Messages between Justin and Blake show just how supportive he actually was. especially when she was feeling insecure about her body after giving birth. In one message, Justin went out of his way to reassure her, but of course, instead of acknowledging his support, Blake twisted the situation into another scandal.
Well, now they've produced the text messages, Baldoni and team, in this latest lawsuit against her, showing Justin being like, don't worry about any of that. We can shoot any scenes that require, exposure toward the end of the movie when, you feel better about things. This is the last thing you should have to worry about. I got you, right?
And speaking of skewed accusations, another claim making headlines is that there was no intimacy coordinator on set. In case you don't know, an intimacy coordinator's role is similar to that of a stunt coordinator. But instead of choreographing fight scenes, they work with actors and directors to create a comfortable environment for intimate scenes. According to Blake's lawsuit, she claims no intimacy coordinators were used during filming, and that Justin Baldoni improvised physical intimacy that had never been rehearsed, choreographed, or discussed with her. The only tiny problem? Her own lawsuit contradicts her actual words, because in this interview, Blake herself confirms that yes, they did hire an intimacy coordinator.
So talk to me about how sometimes you were even the intimacy coordinator in some of those sexier scenes. Like we saw you.
That shouldn't be happening, by the way. I just want to be clear that you should not be the intimacy coordinator. You should definitely hire intimacy coordinators, which we did have. Well, thank goodness.
So which is it, Blake? Because from the way she talked about it before, she didn't seem all that concerned about whether there was an intimacy coordinator on set or not. And let's not forget, in several interviews even long before she sued Justin, he openly praised her for taking control of their intimate scenes. So it's not like he was trying to cover his own tracks. If anything, he made it clear that Blake had full control.
Honestly, there were many instances on set where I just let the women figure it out, and I took a step back and kind of jumped in more as an actor in those scenes than even as a director.
In her lawsuit, Blake made reference to one scene in particular. Let's break it down point by point, because almost every single point she made backfired on her spectacularly. Her lawsuit says, 1, on another occasion, Mr. Baldoni and Ms. Lively were filming a slow dance scene for a montage in which no sound was recorded. 2, Mr. Baldoni chose to let the camera roll and have them perform the scene, but did not act in character. Instead, he spoke to Ms. Lively out of character as himself. 3, at one point, he leaned forward and slowly dragged his lips from her ear and down her neck as he said it smells so good. So Blake claimed there was no sound in the scene, right? That's great for her, as it allows her to completely manipulate what's really happening. But sorry again, Blake, Justin's lawyer, shared the actual footage from filming, and guess what? It has sound. And it once again proves that Blake was lying and twisting the truth. Now see the original video for yourself and tell us in the comments. Does Justin really come across as a ruthless villain who harassed Blake at every turn? Or is this looking more like Blake playing the victim, only for it to completely backfire? And let's not forget Blake wasn't the only one acting out of character in this situation. For goodness sake, at one point they were casually talking about their spouses. Hardly anything uncomfortable or inappropriate. Also, pay close attention to the moment when Justin says it smells good, because it's a lot more innocent than Blake tried to make it seem. Here's just a short snippet from the 10-minute clip.
Or another.
I'm not getting dirt on you today.
I'm probably getting a spray tan on you.
It smells good.
Well, it's not that. It's my body makeup.
So I'd love to hear your thoughts on this absolute chaos, because trust me, the plot twist is unbelievable. Blake is now trying to slap Justin Baldoni and his lawyer with a gag order, banning them from releasing any text messages or other evidence against her, because heaven forbid Justin actually defends himself. But here's the kicker.
Now that she's had her shot against him and she's severely damaged him with that New York Times piece and this complaint, which she managed to get leaked, now she wants a complete gag order. Now he needs to be shut down to protect her. This is very unfair to poor Blake. Why should Justin be able to release snippets to the media without the full context? That's what she said. That's what she did.
So what do you guys think about all of this? The question is pretty simple. Has Blake been lying this entire time, playing the victim only for her so-called evidence to completely blow up in her face thanks to Justin Baldoni and Megyn Kelly's lawyer? Or is there actually some truth to her claims and she really is the victim in all of this? Drop your thoughts in the comments below, and as always, don't forget to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss the latest celebrity drama. Be sure to check out more of our videos covering the hottest Hollywood scandals.